Imagine a battle so brutal, so relentless, that Normandy veterans stated they would rather go back to the bloody beaches of D-Day than spend one more week in that forest. A battle fought in a dark, cold, humid forest where the enemy was almost never seen, yet always present. A battle that consumed tens of thousands of lives just to capture a few miserable kilometers of dirt. Today, we are walking the same paths treaded by soldiers in 1944. We are stepping into the Hürtgen Forest, one of the most bloody, controversial, and forgotten combat campaigns fought by the United States during World War II. And as we explore these woods, we will try to answer a question that still divides historians. Was Hürtgen a grim military necessity or a colossal strategic blunder? September 1944. France had been liberated. Paris was free. The German army seemed to be in full retreat, and many believed the war would be over by Christmas. But reality had a different plan. The failed Operation Market Garden in the Netherlands proved that Germany still possessed the strength to resist. As the Allies approached the German border, they slammed into the formidable Siegfried Line, a vast defensive network of concrete bunkers, anti-tank obstacles, and fortified positions. And right in front of them lay the Hürtgen Forest. On paper, it was just a stretch of trees blocking the path to the Roer River dams. If the Allies crossed the river without controlling those dams, the Germans could open the floodgates and wipe out their entire advance. To move forward, they had to go through the trees. Today, walking through Hürtgen feels peaceful. Tall trees, quiet trails, small villages. But in 1944, this place was a literal meat grinder. The forest covered an enormous area. The trees were dense, the terrain was sliced by deep ravines, and roads were practically non-existent. Visibility was down to mere meters. Tanks struggled to move. Communication lines constantly broke, and German artillery spotters knew every single square inch of the landscape. This was an environment where America's greatest advantages, armor and air support, were completely neutralized. Soldiers were forced to fight man-to-man in a dark, freezing labyrinth. And then came the absolute worst nightmare of the campaign: tree bursts. German artillery shells didn't always hit the ground. They frequently slammed into the upper branches and treetops before exploding. When they did, a deadly rain of jagged metal shrapnel and wooden splinters rained down from above. No trench or foxhole could protect the men. In a matter of seconds, entire squads could be wiped out. Veterans later recalled that the sound of those explosions was impossible to forget. It was an invisible war. The enemy was rarely seen, but death was everywhere. Everywhere you look in this forest, you find concrete ghosts. We're standing on top of, and now inside, one of the hundreds of command bunkers belonging to the Siegfried Line. The heavy steel door is still here, exactly where it was 80 years ago. Even after decades of Allied shelling and post-war destruction, these structures refused to completely vanish. They were engineered to channel enemy attackers straight into deadly kill zones, where machine gun nests could mow them down systematically. Walking inside today, even in the summer heat, it is damp, cold, and eerie. It makes you feel the crushing weight of the engineering that the U.S. Army had to break through. Every meter gained here demanded a horrific price. As we hike up the steep slopes towards the infamous hill 400 near Bergstein, we find small memorials, like this cross dedicated to Private Paul Peternell of the 8th Infantry Division, who fell here on December 9, 1944. Finding a soldier's memorial right where he fell in the middle of a silent forest is deeply moving. Controlling Hill 400 meant controlling the observation posts for the entire region. In December 1944, American Rangers were given the suicidal mission to capture it. They took it, but holding it against violent German counterattacks became legendary. When the guns finally fell silent, the toll was staggering. Estimates place American casualties between 33,000 and over 50,000, killed, wounded, missing, or broken by the psychological exhaustion of the forest. Thousands of young German soldiers, many barely 18 years old, lie buried nearby in quiet cemeteries like this one. Hürtgen wasn't the most famous battle of World War II. It lacked the grand scale of D-Day or the fame of Berlin, but it stands as one of the hardest. It taught a brutal lesson, that even when victory is close, war still demands a terrible price. If you love history that you can touch, walk through, and feel, remember the lessons of the Hürtgen Forest. Until our next journey across Europe's battlefields, know and conquer. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. See you next time.